Hey, everybody, welcome. Oh, my goodness. We have the coolest shows coming up for everybody today. Hey, I'm Dr. Pat. Thank you all for tuning us in and turning us on. It's very, very cool. Got to adjust my little headset here. Benny, I had to get rid of I have to buy a new arm mic. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? What do
Yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
call it? What's that called?
Well, it's an
Arm mic?
arm, but there's a microphone attached to the end of it, so yeah.
Yeah. So I got this arm mic and it's got the super three-prong adapter thing. But then in order for you to convert it, look, I'm still getting dressed here. In order for you to convert it to do the show, you got to plug it into a thing. I've gone through two of these now, and both of them just don't work.
Uh,
And so what's the moral of the story? Don't cut corners with buying tools and equipment for your profession. That's the moral. That's it. I'm going to hear, but I got somebody else going to talk about that. So I have to use my old school little MPOW headset, which is kind of cool. It's a little light, um, but back to old school. And I think there's something to be said about old school. But here's the thing that I really am jazzed about. One of the things I love is I loved what I did not know about what I did not know when I started this. And I love today that I still don't know
Mm.
about what I don't know. And what that means is every time Linda schedules somebody like Carolyn O'Neill joining me here today, and we're going to talk about a stoked approach to activating a worthy mindset and accelerate business growth, I want to just say, take the mic. I'm going to listen. You just talk, because we are in a major rebranding transformation. We're in a major way to do that. But the question is, what kind of mindset do you have to take an idea out into the world? And what if that idea was an idea that nobody else was doing? What do you need to have within you in order to do it? And today, I am not answering those questions. I just asked the questions. But how do we get stoked about what we do in life, how we do it in life, even when the obstacles show up? How do we keep that vibration? How do we keep the energy of being beyond motivated, but to be all about activated? That's what Carolyn does. For over a decade, she has helped across the board emerging lady leaders. I like that. Benny, am I a lady? Benny? Okay, he's not answering. That's an answer. That was an answer right there. To start living into their bigger dream. But there's something more than that. And this is why I'm excited to talk with her.
You're a lady, sorry.
Thank you, Benny.
Of course you are. I was in the
Thank
other
you.
room. Sorry, my bad.
It's all right.
I still love you.
Love you too.
Damn longest relationship I've ever had right here, Benny. But what happens when, let's say we have a hiccup? What happens when we get into can we still stay stoked? Well, the stoked approach is what we're going to talk about today, because I tell you, this is something important that I have to talk to Carolyn about this offline. But what does this mean to be in that vibration, to be in the energy of that? This is what today's show is about. But I got to ask everybody out there, are you stoked? Are you stoked for your life? Are you stoked about your day? Are you stoked about the things that you're contemplating doing, or maybe what you've done before? Get ready. You're going to learn a lot about it from this transformational coach. This is somebody that understands how to have a sustainable mindset. But beyond that, what is the paradigm that we as women need to change the world? Carolyn, it's great to have you.
Oh my goodness, Dr. Pat, I am so stoked, for lack of a better word, to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Look, sometimes I want to ask you this question. Sometimes when you have a brand like you have, and you're doing the things in the world that you're doing, and certainly for me, positive talk radio show, like way back when people are like, well, positive talk, well, maybe you're alternative. No, I don't want, I want to talk positive stuff. I'll even talk politics, but I want to talk positive stuff, right?
Mhm.
I want to talk about, things that we can have a controversial conversation about, but still not be hating on
For
each other,
sure.
right?
Yes.
But I've had some challenges, and I got to ask you, challenges I've overcome. What are some of the challenges and obstacles, Carolyn, you had to overcome, right? To
Oh,
be
yes.
Carolyn O'Neill, like the stoked approach guru.
Yes. Well, thank you for that wonderful intro as well. So yeah, challenges is my jam. Tenacity and resilience would be kind of my molecular structure of my DNA. When I was in Seattle in my early 20s, I was actually going after a pro snowboarding career. And I think I was there probably the first 6 months, and I was training, and I went over a tabletop up at Summit Snoqualmie, and I overshot the jump, and I broke my back. I was paralyzed for about 30 minutes, which is long enough to be paralyzed, or at least feeling it. And coming off of soccer and being recruited for college, and just always having this physical body that was kind of my self-worth, my valuation of self projected through my body. When that was broken, also my dream kind of got broken because my body was.
Right.
You have to readjust, you have to pivot, and it's always like this constant, I call it the new revolution to your new evolution, and that gets to be a choice. Now when you're 19 years old, I don't know how much kind of cognitive relatability that you have in the world.
I was arrested at 19, so that should answer that question for you.
Yeah, well, I think I got one of those stories as well. So yeah, that's kind of where it started, and I never saw it as a setback. It was just like something that happened because I always saw a bigger vision. I always saw like my bigger dream, and I think also at 19, when people tell you that you can't do something, at least in my regard,
Yeah.
it gives me all the motivation to tell them to go fly a kite, and I'm going to show them. So.
Okay, so let me tell you, you and I have that in life, but I want to just say this too. I don't care, like 19 or how old I am now, I'm still that way. And actually, it has been one of the greatest motivators for us this year when
Yes.
another network said to all of us, you people are not going to be able to do that. That's a ridiculous idea. You're not going to be able to do it. And I needed to have that feedback. Let me ask you about that. Don't you find that you get that you can't do it right when you need it? Like the timing of it is like, right?
Yeah, I have a beautiful story that speaks exactly into that.
Go ahead.
I was working at one of the very large retailers in Seattle, Washington, downtown. I was coming off of my broken back. I was in a back brace. We had a big sales meeting for the staff floor, and I remember the CEO, I don't remember his name at that time. This is early 2000s. And I wrote this business plan because they were doing demos, and I wanted to actually incorporate some sort of breast cancer awareness because they wanted to give that away. But maybe this business plan was a whopping 5 pages. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But all I knew is that I wanted to do this, and that was a good conduit. So I went up to the CEO, and I gave him this piece of paper, and he flipped through the pages, and he literally, and no joke, Dr. Pat, tapped me physically on the head and said, "Oh, that's cute. You're so ambitious." And I remember, like, he handed the paper back to me, and I kind of stood there in awe. Like, I wasn't sure to be pissed. I wasn't sure to be like, maybe I'm not obviously taken seriously. But that was like the fodder and the fuel to be like, I'm going to show you. And that was the birthplace of me creating a large ski snowboard music festival that was up at Snoqualmie and Stevens Pass, and ran it for 10 years and raised an incredible amount of money for the University of Washington's risk reduction clinic. And that was just an accident with somebody telling me, "Oh, you're cute and ambitious." And I wanted to let him know that not only was I cute and ambitious, but I also had a bigger vision. So.
Well, that's it though, too, because, you and I, one of the things, and first of all, I'm going to talk about this next. I want to talk about Dream Bigger Digital. I want to talk about that next, because one of the things that I love about what you do and how you help others do it, like a community for female empowerment in business. And I want to make sure everybody goes over here to Dream Bigger Digital. Did I get that right?
Correct, yes.
dreambiggerdigital.com. And when you go there, you're going to see, if you scroll down a bit, it says join the Sisterhood of Stoked. And I'm in here right now because I'm just going to type my name right in here. And the reason I want to do that is because I get an opportunity to sign up and join up. But I need to be with my sisters. I need to be part of a community so that when we are told, tapped on the head, right? You were tapped on the head.
Yeah.
Is that what you were told? Tapped,
Yes.
yeah.
Tapped
Yeah.
on my head,
boss,
19.
my boss crashed himself on the table. Little crazy guy. But we need to be in this place where we learn from somebody like you. You see, we need to be in that place now more than ever. I was listening to someone, Carolyn, talk a bit about these times we're living in and COVID-19. And I just thought to myself, is there another story to tell?
Absolutely.
First of all, I want to say this for everybody out there. I lost 2 friends to COVID-19. So please don't interpret what I'm about to say as a lack of respect for what COVID-19 is about, because I have the utmost respect for it. I know how it's changed my life. I know how it's changing everyone's life. But what I'm about to say is I'm watching people. I'm watching an acceleration in the digital age of learning, of doing, of connecting. The acceleration of that to the point where some folks said that it would have taken another 5 years to get to this place. I'm also seeing the gap between this is what I'm doing and this is what I actually know how to do.
Yeah.
And that's where you come in, because we are now immersed in the digital world. We've been a digital radio platform for 16 years. Digital.
Yes,
16
awesome.
years. That smartphones were not even available.
Yeah, I remember.
But I still don't know what I don't know. For you, what do you see in this digital world that really gets you stoked?
Oh my goodness, so many things.
I know, I'm not even going to take a break.
Yes. Well, I don't know. I tell my clients, COVID, and my friends and people who listen, like, COVID has been a transformational paradigm of the mindset shift. So you're going to get a group of people that, don't listen. It's going to be the worst thing that ever happened to them, even though it's not happening to them directly, because of how they think about the thought. So I'm afraid of spiders. However, a spider is about, an inch at best. That's scary. It's not going to kill me. It's the thought that I think about the spider that makes me in fear. So if I'm thinking about like COVID, I think it's going to be a paradigm shift indefinitely, because there's a lot of patriarchal, paradigms that are they're kind of like pooping themselves right now, because they're really having to adjust, and they like the status quo, they like the norm. And this is why I'm so excited about this time, Dr. Pat, is because there's so many women, whether you're 21 or you're 61, that are really understanding, like, especially the older women too. They're like, they've already lived their lives, they've raised their kids, and now they're like, I'm ready to do me for the first time ever. And you got the younger women that are just like, I don't need to do this 9 to 5. I want to do a 9 to thrive. And how can I go and live out to this bigger dream? So Dream Bigger Digital kind of started as one initial evolution because of my business background, but with vibrational frequencies, with the law of attraction, and being open and willing to navigate the space, because a lot of times the universe will tell you actually what you need versus what you want. And if you're awake enough, you can pay attention and really start seeing the signs. And that's kind of like the evolution came with that. And it's really about dreaming big, obviously, and then leveraging the digital space. And so right now, like you were saying earlier, people said, oh, it's going to be 5 or 10 years or 6 years, whatever.
Right.
It's somebody just saying that, right? And now we're shoved into this like specific paradigm. People are like on their heads in all the right ways, and now we get to really reevaluate what we want.
Yeah. I have a friend. I don't understand how he's doing it, so don't ask me any details. But he created a digital thing for some of the families in the neighborhood. And what does he call it? Digital drive-in. where he's like doing like an online movie thing. And I don't know how he's doing it, to be honest with you, but it gives you the feel that these families are watching something together, like 5 families, right? Let's say, and they're watching the same movie, right? And he'll go through and he'll play the movie. And the idea is they take little movie breaks. Like, I don't know, I like drive-in. Does anybody even know what I'm talking about? Like I'm saying a drive-in. It's like a drive-in movie, right? Which actually you can still go to in COVID, by the way. So he's creating this arena, and it is so amazing because he stops the movie at certain points, because old school, that's what they did. So you could like go get your popcorn and stuff. Right. So he stops the movie and they take like a little break and they have like this chit chat about the movie. And I said to him, dude, you need to brand that. I mean, you need to like, there's something you need to do with that. But see, he would have never thought to do that. He would have never thought to do any of that. I'm also seeing changes that I never thought would ever happen. Let me give you an example. 12-step programs. One of the absolutely never going to happen. Never, ever, ever. It would take an act of going up through the ranks of the AA nonprofit, going to the leadership thing, going to this big thing, then waiting 3 years. That thing has been on the table for those programs for a really long time. And now look at what's happening all over the world. People are connecting. I'm going to ask you this question. I got sick 6 months after I did this. I didn't break my back. Metaphorically, I did. But I've never been sick. And I got sick. I mean, I got a mystery disease and it stayed with me 10 years. I happened to not be able to do anything but what I'm doing now, pay for airtime. What do you think that event in your life has taught you?
Oh, that's a deep question, Dr. Pat.
I know. I could go to break if you want.
No. Well, so my brain immediately goes to, that was just the first one of many. So
yes, exactly.
You'd asked about challenges. I've probably broken about 16 different bones. So the physiological breaks were fairly easy for me to get over. There was some like depression when I couldn't physically. The worst one was in 2011. I shattered my heel. I ended up getting MRSA. Had like 4 or 5 surgeries on it. It was just a whole thing. And then I had to quit my job, blah, blah, blah. But really it was what came from that was I'm actually in recovery, celebrated 3 years at the end of April. So that was like the biggest transformation. That was the hurdle, because starting a business, it's easy to go in and take all of your experience from my business background, which is 15, almost 20 years of being an entrepreneur, and then also working in the traditional corporate American marketing and sales, going in with this kind of ego heavy, non-humble kind of energy going into it, because you're basing everything that you have off of history, versus when you start something new and you're building your own brand. Holy Christmas, are you going to have an identity crisis, because it's like what got you there is not going to get you to where you want to go. So it's a totally different way of adjusting and being in alignment, because there's the knowing that we have in our head. It's like that, the very rational, analytical, I need to do X, Y, Z to do this strategy. And I'm a Virgo. I love strategy all day long. I can talk about it. I can do it standing on my head. However, it wasn't until I really understood the knowing that's in your chest, when you have the belief that you're able to do something. And so I had it in my early 20s, because I think I didn't have society's, kind of conditioning. It was just like, I wanted to snowboard. I want to be pro snowboarder. It doesn't matter what happens. I'm just going to do this. And then I want to do this nonprofit. And it was just decision and go. And then somewhere in like my 30s, it's kind of like, oh, maybe I should buy a house. And I got all these stories in my head. I'm doing things for other people and I'm living my life to make money. And I'm not, if you'd asked me what energetic alignment was, I would have been like, I feel good today. I don't even know what that means. And so, yeah, my evolution and my revelation was really when I started my business, and it blew my mind in all the right ways, because it was me constantly running into myself and like pain will push us in a particular direction until a bigger vision pulls, right? So it took me a while to figure out what that bigger vision was, and that's where I came up with the Sisterhood of Stoked. The Stoked approach is really, it's a culmination of a lot of things. I can throw some
Yeah.
acronyms, but
Well, let's talk about it, because I want to take a moment to talk about it, because when we say the word stoked, it has an energy and a vibration to it, and most people have a sense of it. But there is an approach. There is an approach to getting to that place. And then there is what we do in life. Then there is the idea of, okay, I want to take this blank, fill in the blank, out in the world.
Mm.
And how do we do that? How do we create that personal brand for ourselves? How do we create that aspect of ourselves? But you've developed the stoked approach. So let's talk about that for a minute, because all of your life experiences had led you to outline a way to transfer your knowledge to other people. And that's the way, and that's what I see in the stoked approach. Tell us a little bit about it.
So when I decided to drop digital marketing, because that was Dream Bigger Digital's initial company, I had it for maybe like 3 months, and I was like, I don't want to sit there and make Facebook ads all day. So, and as a marketing consultant for many years, doing MFS anyway, so it morphed into needing a signature coaching program, and it was one of those things where I asked the universe and asked, and then it just kind of hit me, and I really liked the name of it. And but I was very insecure about the name because, again, I was going to a space that I thought I knew intellectually, but I didn't really know or believe I was really capable. There's a little bit of imposter syndrome at the time, but I would have never admitted it because my ego was so large, because I'm just going off all this history. But the nice thing about the universe is it will humble you exactly how you need to be humbled. And it wasn't until I was doing a marketing piece and I was like, I'm just going to look up what stoked means per Google. And as I did, I saw that Stanford University has a freshman class called the Psychology of Stoked. And it does talk about quantum physics. And that was like a validation that I needed from the universe, because here's the other thing. Like, if I was to show up in a very buttoned up, pastel-y colors in the background, not that there's anything wrong with that, not my style. But if I was to show up as somebody else, I'm going to be so far out of alignment. I won't know how to talk to my clients. I won't resonate with my clients. I am trying to be somebody else. And so really, when I was ready to really step into my own authenticity, even that whole evolution, I can translate the stoked approach, because it's really an embodiment of your beliefs and your worthiness of self.
Yeah. I have to tell you, what you're talking about, and I know that was a very quick run through. I know how deep, those lines, those striations go of all of us. I went back to school after losing my job. I literally had always wanted to go back to school, but I don't come from that kind of family. I don't come from a family that says, look, why don't you go to college? I grew up in a neighborhood in the Bronx, and, that there's nothing, I loved living in the Bronx. As a matter of fact, I still love going back to the Bronx. I think it's one of the coolest places on the planet, but I never, ever thought we would ever leave there. I saw my life is very, you do this, you do this, you do this, and you do this. But for me, my world was that of, I'm growing up here, we're in the projects, this is my life, this is what I do, this is what I'm learning. And I learned a ton from living in New York as a kid. But then we moved. And, when I think about this and I think about where we are today, and I ask myself, had I not had that experience, had you not had the experience you just described, and probably many, many more, I wonder if I would have learned what I know today to be my life. But having said that, I want to mention this, and we'll talk about it when we come back. Even after going to school, and I graduating school and then doing research after school, I actually didn't know what I had accomplished in the way the world sees me. I didn't go to school for that reason.
Mm.
I went to school because I heard a voice say to me, you need to go get a PhD. And this is when I was 23, because I delivered mail to PhDs at Bell Labs and they had fun. So I thought, if I get that thing at the end of my name, I'm going to have like a blessed fun life. I'm going to juggle like they juggled and play ping pong. That's what I thought. So when I graduated, I was depressed. I couldn't go back to the workplace. I couldn't go back to corporate America. And I didn't understand it. When we come back, how do you go from stressed to stoked? Let's take a short break, everybody. We'll be right back.
Some people over here, what are the people in the middle? What are they listening to?
You have to have all of that in your sport, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah. They say that.
Shed a little light on that. And are we ready to bring this natural medicine back now? Yeah. But that doesn't mean we stop. It just means we catch our breath. Colette, it's great to have you.
I want to say thank you so much, Pat.
When we come back, we're going to talk about how Learning to Heal made it into the book Sex Positive, but more importantly, hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. So let me just share a little tidbit, but before I do that, I have a very special guest today. I was so excited to be talking with Carolyn O'Neill, a stoked approach to activate a worthy mindset and accelerate business growth. In this, I want to say that again slowly, a stoked approach to activate a worthy mindset and accelerate business growth. Now, Carolyn and I have something in common. We primarily do our work with women for a variety of reasons. But the point is, what we're talking about today is transcended upon anyone that has ever wondered about why some people, you find them stoked about everything. You find them taking a dream out in the world, and you ask yourself, man, why am I not doing that? How do I do that? And within a 30-second period, with all the questions you ask, you're completely overwhelmed. You feel like your head's going to explode, and you lose all hope that you will ever launch your dream.
Mm.
That's what Carolyn does to make sure that you don't have to lose your dream. You don't have to walk away from an idea that hits you. You just need to learn how to go from whatever your mind is trying to tell you. It's arguing for your limitations, to go from that to being out in the world. Now, Carolyn, before we hop over, can you tell folks, you're doing a bunch of things right now to help people. How do they find out more about you? And you've got a couple of events and a challenge coming up. So let's talk about that for a minute.
Sure. So on the 20th through the 24th, I'll be doing a 5-day challenge. It's basically the 5 most common limited beliefs, or the stories that we tell ourselves, particularly for women, the stories and the beliefs that really hold us back. So it's that itty bitty, I call it the itty bitty shitty committee. And
oopsie.
Oh, excuse me.
Benny will bleep that out.
that goes in our head, and it basically makes us want to not try, because we have these lazy monkey minds, and it wants to be safe and very lazy and very comfortable. So the 5-day challenge, which is 20th through the 24th, all are welcome, and it will be held in the Facebook group Sisterhood of Stoked. So please get on Facebook and join that Facebook group. And then lastly, I've opened up my last 3 spots for the end of 2020 to do my 6-month one-on-one private coaching program, which is the Stoked approach. It's activating a worthy mindset is the first portion. And then once you're acclimated and you understand kind of where the worthiness conversation comes from, because your self-worth should really be your number one business strategy, then it's all about going to accelerating business growth. So getting strategies, understanding the technology, the platforms. And so I'm really that guy between what you want and I know that what you need. And so I'm there to help bridge the gap and guide you along the way with a lot of support and stuff.
And what I want to say to everybody that's listening to this, when you go to the website, it's Dream Bigger Digital, correct?
Yes, and they can view the upcoming events and also schedule a clarity call with me, or even a connection call if you go to dreambiggerdigital.com/get stoked.
Okay, I love it. All right, look, I wanted to run a few things by you, especially when we are talking about what this means. Let's talk about but let's talk about the word stoked for a minute. It's one of those words that I can't remember when I first heard it. I think I was in Hawaii. First time I heard it. How many years ago was that, Pat? Maybe it was 10 or 12 years ago. But it's the first time I heard the word. And I thought, okay, that's really cool. I mean, we're on we're out in Hawaii on the water. But then it took on an energy. Mm-hmm. And the energy and the way you describe the energy of it, activate mindset, accelerate growth. Activate mindset, accelerate growth. When I saw that, and I said, yeah, we need it. We have to help emerging female entrepreneurs. Can you, for me today, can you talk to those women that may be listening? Let's just take a moment. And we want to speak to you, because empowering emerging female entrepreneurs, yes, once upon a time, that was something that Carolyn and I were, and even today, I still consider myself that, because on the edge of launching something new, I'm still doubting myself. I'm still questioning my worth. I'm still. And as a matter of fact, I would love to get Jessica in this. But for you, what do you see are the potholes that female entrepreneurs step in? And what's your personal, look them right in the eye here, what do you want to say to all of us?
So first of all, I want to say that self-worth should be your number one business strategy, and personal growth if you're starting something new, if you're creating a new product, if you're trying to get on Facebook Lives, if you're trying to get out of your comfort zone, the worthiness conversation has to come first, because here's the thing, our business growth will never outpace our personal development, period. And when a lot of times we are generating or producing something, we will subconsciously create, so then we can have worthiness based off of this business, based off of this product, based off of our money, based off of our success. But if we don't truly understand that we are worthy, if we don't feel that inherent belief that we are worthy enough to have, then we're going to be out of alignment. And then we can have abundance conversations, right? And manifestation, like I can think it, but if I don't feel it, it's not going to happen. And this is a very short version. And I'll like the best way I can explain this, the very beginning of the Stoked approach is legitimately, when I was thinking about it, it goes back to me snowboarding. And any large jump that I had to go off of to excel and get to that next level of my athleticism, next level of snowboarding, I legitimately had to sit there and visualize how I was going to go off this jump. I had to know when I was going to tuck a shoulder. I was going to know when to pop off the lift, when I was going to turn. So all of this, I never went off anything and like scared the crap out of myself without visualizing it first. And then once I make that decision that I'm going to jump after I visualize, I have to commit to that. And because if you waver in that commitment, which I've done several times, as you're going down, that self-doubt will skew your vibration. It will throw you off of alignment. And then you go into the self-doubt spiral. So it's really about visualizing, making a decision, committing to that decision, and taking massive, messy action, because it's really in the fumbles and the fall downs where you're getting the best valuable feedback. And so that's like the metaphor for business or creating anything or even a new relationship. And so Stoked really is embodying this energetic level of confidence and this just unknowing, unshakable worth, because we are all individually out here to produce things and be of service to other people. I truly believe that. And when I'm being of service to others, I know it fills my cup, and I'm creating more impact and influence, not because it makes me feel good, even though it does, but I get to lift people up. And just by having that small seed of hope that you see in women's eyes when they understand, it's like they have control, but they just don't know it yet. They have power and they just don't know it yet.
Yes.
And that stoke, that vibration is such like this worthiness, central like epicenter of amazingness, that once they get there and they see that little like seed is planted, then they can start visualizing it. Then they can start feeling it in their chest, not just in their brain. And strategy and all that other tactics and all the other like rational stuff, that's easy, because not only that, but you're attracting your ideal clients, your audience, whatever. If you're a musician, if you're a blogger, if you're a podcaster, it's because you're attracting your own inherent true self. You're not trying to promote to get, an audience. You're actually attracting an audience, and because you're vibrating on such this like amazing frequency, because you are stoked, and it's pure joy and confidence and love. And it's, so I could talk about this for hours.
No, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show, because I think we have to talk about it. I think we have to talk about it for a long time. Back in the day, when I first started to come out, I just thought, look, the back of my business card, I don't have it here with me, but on the back of my business card in 2002, and remember I said to you, I graduated in 2001. And I was depressed. I was offered big corporate jobs. My research won awards. And by any practical plan, like you ever work with somebody that puts a plan together and they say, well, you're going to do this, you're going to go to school, you're going to do this, you're going to get this. That was me. It was all laid out. And I was offered these big jobs. Like one was on Land O'Lakes. I cried. See, I think the universe is so smart, and I wasn't listening. Yes. But I decided to study the thing that was painful to me about what I saw in the 1990 in the workplace. Something changed. Promises were being broken. I went on to study the consequences, this is the official academic term, it sounds so boring. The consequences of psychological contract violation for 10 years. I studied insecurity for 10 years. My final output was both quantitative and qualitative. I have 1,200 pages in my possession today of interview notes of people that felt they've been betrayed and promises had been broken. And I did go through and finish my degree. I don't know how I look back. But when I was done with all the presentations and all the awards, I was depressed. I had been at a low point in my life, similar to other times. Now, why are we talking about that? Why I talk about it and why you're here talking about it? Because we don't know exactly what it's going through, what people are going through right now with COVID-19. We don't know exactly. They don't know exactly about the people that I've lost. We don't know exactly. But boy, we have walked a mile with those challenges and those setbacks. That's why you do what you do. And that's why I have and own a radio network that's all positive talk. That's all about helping you get to the next level. That doesn't mean we don't talk about hard stuff and it doesn't get heated. But what is it that inspires you today, Carolyn? What is it today when you look at, and that was such a beautiful message to listeners. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to play that back. I'm going to pull that thing off and have to put some music and send it to you. But now we're looking at a transformed world. What do I tell a 12 and 13-year-old child that I've known all of her life, basketball career? What do you say? What do we say to people today to help them realize stoked is not a condition of COVID-19? It's not a condition of employment. What do we say?
Well, I'd say that remember that connection is our number one currency, and to duplicate and then start innovating. So if you see something that you like, try that route. And nothing is final. You get to write your own story. You get to dictate your own path. And the bigger that you dream, the bigger the variety. So, and nothing needs to be written in stone. You don't need to cash that check. You know, it's about getting curious, getting courageous, and getting cracking on whatever it is that's starting to like fuel your pump of joy. And, you know, don't get me wrong that like, I'm not a cheerleader 100% of the time. Stoked is like, I've had some like pretty heavy stuff just in the last week. It's not that I'm in delusion, right? It's what it really is an understanding that I do have the development of choice. I have the option of making a decision every day of how I'm going to show up for myself and whoever else is important to me. And for me, my biggest vision, my mission is to change the paradigm of how women are seeing themselves in the world by the businesses that they create in it. Because then it's a ripple effect, right? And, you know, it might be a little too holistic woo, but here you go. I think the bigger that you dream, the bigger the possibilities. And,
oh yeah,
you know, one of the best transformations that I've had personally was like, I had my dark night of the soul probably 3 years ago. And yeah, it was painful. Like nothing was happening to me. All my bones were still intact, right? But it was like this crazy pain and I couldn't define it and I couldn't understand it because we are not taught these things. We are not educated or even guided. So when a certain kind of pain is motivating you to at least seek out or find other alternatives or maybe quit your job or you know, go to a therapist or hire a coach or whatever your modality is, your pain is going to be pushing you until like a bigger vision pulls. And I think what happens is that we either have this choice where we can have the same story going over on like in our head, and either we're going to get sick of it or we're going to resent ourselves for just falling victim to the same story. And so sometimes it's just somebody that's able to be there and to really develop like a plan and a skill and a belief in that other person. Because I mean, I have an option to work with a lot of people, but I'm very selective because not only do I want them to get results, but they have to be willing to kind of blow their own mind. They have to be willing to get uncomfortable. They have to start getting comfortable with a lot of discomfort, because that is literally where the change happens. It's a personal development growing pain. And you can read all the books and go to all the courses and take all the classes, but the internal work, like you could have a shelf help, program, or you can actually just start asking yourself those crazy, gnarly questions that really do challenge your belief system.
You have to.
Yeah.
Carolyn, I want to stay with this one point. Boy, this hour is zipping by. But before we go on, I need to make sure people know, one, how do they find out about you? Tell them about the upcoming course, the upcoming opportunities you have, all of the above. Also, the Facebook, how they can follow you. Let's give people information, because I know you and I will keep going here. And I just got a text message from somebody saying, what's her website?
Okay. So you can reach me indefinitely at dreambiggerdigital.com. And I have a lot of links if you do dreambiggerdigital.com/getstoked. And it's the way that you can work with me, to connect with me on a clarity call. Like I do discovery sessions, no charge, for 30 minutes. So if you're kind of running into yourself, or you need like a 30-day strategy to kind of get you from where you're at to where you need to go, if you're from struggle bus to like stoked, those are free calls, and I'm happy to do that. But dreambiggerdigital.com/getstoked is really like the best landing page. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook under Stoked Coach and at Dream Bigger Digital. And what I have coming up in 1 week, so the 20th through the 24th of this month, is a 5-day challenge to really like blow past the 5 most common limited beliefs and stories that women tell themselves that are holding them back and keeps them playing small in the world. It's a free challenge. There's going to be a sign-up sheet, and you just basically go to the Sisterhood of Stoked Facebook group, all one word. So Sisterhood of Stoked, and that's STOKED. And you can go ahead and add yourself to the group, and then I'll have updates. But we're going to be doing a live 5-day challenge with all of us ladies. So it's going to be a great community. We're all going to uplift each other, probably laugh at each other, because a lot of these stories are very similar.
Well,
right?
they're funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it took me a lot of years to talk about what it was like to be homeless. Like it took me a lot of years to just even talk about my illness. I've been doing this show 16 years. Benny and I have been together, and he knows how sick I was. And, my body, I was 100 pounds heavier. I mean, I could go through. So somebody said to me one day, why didn't you talk about it more on air? And I said, even though I was sick, I didn't live my life as sick, and I didn't want to talk about it. And I certainly didn't want to pick up other people's energy about it after the fact. And Dr. Darvish, I love you, Dr. Darvish, right there in Bellevue. I love you, saved my life. This is a woman that came out of the gate. You want to talk about stoked.
Yeah.
This is a woman that took on my disease when our attorney general wouldn't take it on. Diagnosed it, helped me figure it out. She's a naturopath, helped me figure it out, took me on a journey. And I was one of the first experiments to actually survive this disease and be able to talk about it. But I didn't feel like that's the way I wanted to show up on air. But now I'm talking about these things more. Like I talk about my mom's suicide, or I talk about my own journey in recovery. I talk about these things. And somebody asked me, why are you doing it now? And I thought, I don't know if I have a why, because sometimes you feel things in life and you feel it is time. This is the time for us to get stoked, but not alone. So you're forming a group, right?
Yes. So for the Sisterhood of Stoked. Oh, yeah. So Facebook, there is a Facebook group presently, Sisterhood of Stoked. Anybody can join that if you're a lady leader. There's obviously inspirational quotes. There's a lot of the community in there. I'll be launching some other things in the next 6 months. But however, right now, if you want to work with someone one-on-one for the next 6 months to really develop your mindset, your worthiness, to then get so clear and confident about the next direction of your path professionally, the Stoked approach is really the program for you. And it is by kind of application only. So we'd get on a 30-minute, calls, see, what you're looking for, if I'm the best coach for you, and vice versa. So it's just really a conversation. And it's that one-on-one private coaching help that really it's you investing in yourself, and to then help you accelerate that growth later on, because that's kind of where the worthiness conversation starts. We'll buy $100 jeans, but we won't maybe spend $100 on our continued education.
You and I can come back and we can do a whole show on self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
We really could. I mean, it is, this is the time where people think, and I did a show on this not too long ago, but we have the notion that, again, and I can only speak for women, I don't know what men do, but again, we're putting ourselves on the bottom of the care list.
Yeah.
We're on the bottom of the care list. And I love that you're inviting us to come out as a group and become part of this. And I just want to make sure, if you go over to Facebook, it's Sisterhood of Stoked, Stoked.
Correct.
Thank you, first of all, for everything you're doing in the world.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Pat.
Thank you.
I'm humbled to be here.
I know what it's like to be physically challenged. I know what it's like to have pain. I play a sport, not quite anything like you, but it's still a sport. Okay. Just saying. I play table tennis.
I believe you. I think that's magical.
Yeah. It's the coolest thing. I have a table and a robot in here, right?
Yes. That's awesome.
But some days my body hurts, and I almost don't play. And then I play, and I'm different. I think what you're doing is you're helping all of us, all right? All of us women that get right to the gate, and we have second thoughts on any given day, at any given thing we do, as to whether or not we're worthy enough to take that step forward. And your work is needed now more than it ever has, because too many of my women friends are declining to continue with their dream. And I'm hoping in some way you can help. Thank you for today. I do want to ask you your personal message and your vision as you move forward for yourself in the world.
Well, my overall reaching mission is really to change the paradigm of how women see themselves in the world by the businesses that they create in it. And for me personally, it's to always vibe at this level that is true to myself, and to thy own self be true always. And, it's not about me. And the best way I can be of service is to really just help people understand that they all have this inherent gift. And if I can be a part of that journey, I would be humbled and honored to help them get in that right direction. Because sometimes it's just a little nudge in the right direction and somebody to believe in you.
Yeah, it really is. I'm so grateful for the angels I also, Carolyn, I also want to mention to people, when they go to the website and they go to your Get Stoked page, I want to encourage everybody to go to dreambiggerdigital.com, and under Get Stoked, you'll scroll down, and what you'll do is, of course, you'll see the 5-day event, but you're going to see some free things there. There are free resources. Please look at these. And I can't wait for the Stoked goal setting to get you paid.
Yes, I will. I'll be working on that this afternoon.
I'm telling you, I'm all over that. Carolyn, thank you so much for everything that you're doing. One more time, please mention the Facebook group.
So you can go to Facebook, and it's Sisterhood of Stoked, Stoked. And it's a private Facebook group. So just add yourself and I'll take a look, and can't wait to meet you inside the group.
I love it. Hey, everybody, let's do it. And don't forget Ellen Stewart coming up right now. Pushy Broad from the Bronx. Carolyn rocks. You're also stoked. And by the way, first and last time I ever did any motorcycle riding, I come from a motorcycle family, is when I crashed my little dirt bike and just crushed myself. So but I did get up and get back on it.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. You got to get back on it.
You got to get back on it, ladies. Let's do it. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back in a few minutes.
Thank you.